How do you know if you can qualify to buy a house? Let's talk about it. Today I'm going to go over everything that goes into you qualifying a home, from your credit score, the amount of money you make, and the amount of money you need to save. Now, full disclosure, the only real way to know exactly how much you can qualify for is to speak with the mortgage lender. But if you're looking for a way to estimate it, you're in the right place. And with that, let's get it started. The first big factor is your credit score. The better your credit score is, the lower your interest rate will be on your loan and the more you can qualify for. If your credit score is too low, however, you might not qualify to buy a home at all. Before we look into what credit score you need to qualify, however, let's look at what actually goes into your credit score. 35% of your credit score is paying your debts on time. If you have any monthly payments that are over 30 days late, that can significantly hurt your credit score. 30% of your credit score is the total debt that you owe. This includes having high balances on your credit cards. So if you're maxing out your credit cards, once again, you could be significantly hurting your credit score. If all of your credit cards are maxed out, you look risky in the eyes of lenders. 15% of your credit score goes into your credit history. Basically, the longer you have credit, the better your score is. If you don't have any credit history at all, you actually won't have a credit score and lenders will not give you a loan. If that happens, it's always suggested that you maybe take out a small credit card and just make the monthly payments on time and keep the balance low so you can build up your credit history. 10% of your credit score is the credit mix. Lenders like to see that you can handle different types of credit, such as a mortgage or a car loan and credit cards. And finally, the last 10% of your credit score comes from new credit. If you all of a sudden start taking out a bunch of new credit cards or a bunch of new loans, once again, you start looking risky to lenders. This is why hard inquiries count as a ding on your credit. Now that we see what goes into your credit score, exactly what credit score do you need in order to qualify for a loan? For FHA, the minimum credit score required is a 580. And for conventional, the minimum credit score required can be anywhere between 620 to 640, just depending on your lender. Now, we all know that the better your credit score is, the better your interest rate will be. But how exactly does your credit score affect interest rates? Here's a quick breakdown. A credit score of 760 or higher will get you the best interest rates. So whether you have a 760 or a 780, it really doesn't matter. You're going to get the same interest rate, which is the best you can get. The next credit score tier is between 700 and a 760. So in other words, whether you have a 710 or a 720, you're going to get around the same interest rate, which is pretty good. The next credit score tier below that is between 680 and 700, and the next tier below that is between 660 and 680. Once your credit score is below 660, that's when your interest rate really starts going up. That's why I always recommend, if you're looking to buy a home, to aim for a credit score of at least 660 so you can get the better interest rates. Now that we know what credit score we need to qualify for a home, exactly how much money do we need to make in order to qualify for a home? To understand how much money you need to make, first you need to understand debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is the total of monthly debt payments you have divided by your gross monthly income. That's income before taxes. Monthly debt is any money that you owe for money that you borrowed, such as a mortgage or a car payment or minimum credit card payments. Other payments like your electricity bill or your phone bill do not count towards this. For example, let's say you made $6,000 in gross income. Let's say you have a mortgage of $1,500, a car loan for $500, and minimum credit card payments of $300. Your debt to income ratio would be $2,300 divided by $6,000, which is around 38%. Lenders require that your debt to income ratio is not higher than a certain point once you get the mortgage in order for you to actually qualify for the loan. For FHA loans, lenders require that your debt to income ratio is no higher than 43%, and for conventional loans, lenders normally require that your debt to income ratio is no higher than 36%. So for FHA loans, this means that your new mortgage payment, along with all your other monthly debt payments, can be no more than 43% of your gross monthly income. Now that you have all this info, how can you estimate if you can actually afford to buy a home? A good way to do that is to Google mortgage calculator with taxes. The amount of money it takes to qualify for a home depends on each property because each property has its own unique price and its own unique real estate taxes. So in order to get a good estimate, what you can do is you can research properties on websites like Zillow or Realtor.com, put the info into the mortgage calculator to see what the estimated mortgage will be. Once you find out what the estimated mortgage for that property will be, then just add that to your total monthly debts and see if your debt to income ratio meets the requirements. That's it. Next up, what are some of the required documents that you will need in order to buy a home? Lenders normally request that you have at least 2 years worth of W-2s or 1099 forms. They're going to request check stubs for at least 2 months. And they're going to ask for 2 years of your tax returns. Last but not least, what amount of money do you need to save in order to buy a home? Ideally, you're going to need 6.5% of the purchase price in order to buy the property. Where does the 6.5% come from? First, for a FHA loan, you're going to need at least 3.5% of the purchase price for the down payment. On top of that, you're going to need around another 3% of the purchase price to pay for the closing costs. That's where the 6.5% comes from. Now, if you're in the Chicago area and you're wondering what real estate prices are actually selling for, be sure to check out my videos here.